Hi, how are you all? Happy New Year, happy 2024. I always love the start of a new year because I like the refresh. I'm not a resolution person, but I do like just the feeling of just starting over, especially when it comes to books. I've wanted to film the Booktube Newbie tag for a while now, and I think I was just a little nervous about it and some of the questions, and I don't know why. I get nervous when I have to talk about myself sometimes, and that I might not come across very coherent or eloquent, and I'm trying to get over that. I'm trying to get over that self-consciousness when it comes to speaking in front of a camera, speaking to all of you, speaking about my interests, because I want to talk about my interests. That's one of the reasons I started this channel. So yeah, I have the questions on my phone. We can just go through them, and yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm a little excited. All right, get a cup of coffee, get a cup of tea, get some water too. That's great. I'm gonna have some coffee and some water, but let's go through these questions. Why did you start your channel? I think the main reason I started my channel was due to just feeling lonely. And I know that sounds really sad and depressing. I've moved a lot the last few years, even before COVID. I've just lived in a couple different places, and it's been really hard, as some of you know, as an adult to make friends and make friends with the same interest as you. I've just found that really challenging to be able to talk about books I like or interests I have at length. And so that's the main reason. I've just felt lonely. And I wanted to have this little space of the internet just to talk about exactly what I wanted to talk about at length. And hopefully some of you will be interested and want to chat with me too. That's why I'm really interested in the booktube community. There's so many great booktubers, and I love commenting and just talking about books. That's the really cool thing about books, because it is so subjective, and you could like or hate something that someone else loves, or vice versa. And I just like the discussion. I like the literary discussions. I like plot discussions, character discussions, and just vibing with people on that same wavelength. Like, I love that. I was lonely, and I just wanted to talk to other like-minded people. I primarily work from home and am on Zoom a lot, and I can't just stop a meeting or talk about books, especially some of the books that I like that are like more on the darker realm, like horror. I also think I became kind of a passive observer and absorber of other people's opinions and criticisms on Booktube and on Goodreads, and just like me not going for a book because it has a lower rating of some of the other books, and like I end up reading that book because it kind of interests me and I end up loving it. So that's another reason too, is I want to be less of a passive observer and absorber and just read books that call out to me, and not be so... I feel like I've gotten so picky, or I used to be really picky. Like, I used to just read lit fic, and I got so bored of it, and I've expanded into other genres that I've ended up really loving. Yeah, I'm just hoping someone out there wants to talk about this stuff too, and likes what I'm talking about and likes what I'm posting. Yeah, so that's that. Alright, next question. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I was dreading this question. I think the main thing is I still read a lot of lit fic, but I'm trying to read less of it. For me, it's been hard to find shining stars. Obviously I have favorites every year that are in the lit fic category, but I don't know, it's been a hard genre for me. The thing I'm excited the most about my channel is I'm going to be exploring a lot more adult fantasy, which is what I've gotten into the past year, or the past 6 months, and I really want to grow my library of that, because I love it. I really love it, and I like being transported. I grew up reading a lot of middle grade and younger fantasy, and that's kind of where my reading journey started. I know that's another question, I'll go into that. But I think having you all along for that journey and being able to talk about it and getting recommendations in that genre, and even horror too, because my entire life I've been a massive horror fan. mostly movies. I'm a big horror movie nerd, and it's obviously I've read a bunch of Stephen King throughout my life, and here and there a horror book, but I really got into it this past year. I really got into it in 2023 is reading more horror because of recommendations on Booktube and Book Talk, what have you. And just coming along for my journey for that as I try to expand my library outside of Litfic. And I love getting recommendations too, so I'm really excited about that and being part of this community where you ask for recommendations and you can get them from a bunch of different people who have different interests and different book loves. Sorry, my dog has a toy. And just broadening my interest in literature because I love it so much. What are you most excited about for your channel? Like I kind of alluded to, just developing a community and make more bookish friends. And I don't interact with a lot of people. This sounds really depressing, but I don't know, I'm very introverted. I can be very introverted. It might not seem that way, but I can be very introverted in making friends and reaching out in real life. So just growing my community online and just meeting people from all walks of life and where they are in their reading journey that's different from mine. So I'm really excited about that. I just want to talk about books and cool stuff, and yeah, I'm excited about that. Why do you love reading? Alright, I might cry. I don't want to cry, but I might cry. I love reading because I like to escape. I think that's the main reason people read, is just to be transported, and not the main reason, but I think people really like to be transported somewhere else that's maybe a little bit easier than our current reality at the moment, the current state of the world. And here comes Mac. And I grew up in a kind of emotionally unstable household. My parents got divorced when I was really young, and spending weekends with my dad, he was just an absent parent. And so we didn't have cable and we didn't have a lot of money, so I had a library card, and that was like the one thing my dad let us spend money on was books. Because my dad was an avid reader. I think that's where I do get a lot of my reading interest from, is my dad, even though we don't really have a relationship anymore. I did read to escape, like being in such an emotionally tense environment and just getting lost for a few hours or a whole day. Like I would spend a whole day reading sometimes, and it just really helped. It really helped. I don't want to cry. It just really helped, in literature and book series just really saved me. I feel like I did feel less alone in those worlds with those characters, and that's a big reason I love reading. It's just I have really high anxiety, and I have bouts of depression for that, and I have bouts of depression that sometimes make my day-to-days really hard, but one thing that's really helped is just curling up with a book and getting lost for a few hours. I don't want this to be a sad video, but I love reading to get lost, to escape. I love being transported to either fantastical worlds or worlds similar to my own. I have a lot of big feelings, and I like books that make me feel big feelings and make me feel less alone. So, alright. What book or series got you into reading? Oof, that's a good question. I think for most of you, like, a lot of it started with Harry Potter, but I also vividly remember reading the Chronicles of Narnia, and then Philip Pullman's books, like The Golden Compass. Like, I loved those books growing up. Oh, man. And then as I got older, like in high school and stuff, I kind of bounced around to a few different genres. I vividly remember reading the Garth Nix book, Sabriel, and just like, this is awesome. I still need to finish that series, because I was thinking about the other day, I never finished that series, and Sabriel was just, oof, it was so good. Like, The Lovely Bones is one of my favorite books of all time, and Jane Eyre, and even, like, I think one of the first, as an adult when I was in high school, like, I read Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, and I read that in like 3 days. It's a chunky book, and I just couldn't put it down. And I think I had like a pretty big slump when I was in college because I was just so busy and reading for school and reading for classes. And it wasn't really till I got out of college, like a year later, that I kind of jump-started my journey again, and it just hasn't stopped. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? What are your favorite books? That's what I want to know. I want to know what other people's favorite books are. Have they felt like they've read more because of their channel or less? And what's their favorite part of it? What's their favorite part of their channel? I'm really looking forward to, like I said, the community and the talking and comments. What will be the hardest issue to overcome on Book Talk? I don't know. Growing said community, because obviously Booktube has been around for a very long time and I am truly a newbie, and kind of breaking into that space when there's so many solidified creators on here, and just kind of them making room for me. Can I scooch in? I want to partake. When did you start reading? Like, as soon as I could. Like I said, I didn't really stop until college, and now I got back into it after, and I'm still going. Where do you read? Ooh. I get very easily distracted, so I rarely read in public. Like, I don't go to a coffee shop that often to read as I do. I get very distracted by like loud noises and people talking, and I get really overwhelmed. So like reading in public's not my favorite thing to do. When the weather is nice, I like to read outside, either on the deck or in a park that's not crowded. But when I'm home, I really like to read in cozy spaces, like my couch. I'll just curl up with the dogs, and now it's in the winter with a heated blanket and the dogs, and it's just magical. Or in my bed too. My bed's super cozy and I love reading there. What kind of books do you like to read? Top 3 genres. Okay, besides lit fic, I really love reading horror. The darker the better. I'm not so much of an extreme horror girly. I have read a couple, and it's very hit or miss for me. I don't know, like, I don't like being necessarily disgusted, like I want to throw up. Horror. I do really like a great story and characters. Some recent ones I'll pop up right here that I've really loved. I'm gonna say lit fic because I have read quite a few and I do really like it. And I'll put some of my favorites right here. Like more weird girl or weird lit fic I love. Like, I just like, the weirder the better. I'm very much that kind of person. There's a number of historical fiction on my shelf, but I think I'm going to split this between fantasy and historical fiction, because I do really like a good historical fiction. It's been a minute since I've read historical fiction. I'm really trying to change that this year. I have a whole section of it dedicated in my winter TBR. That's like a previous video I did if you want to check that out. Last question is, what does your book collection look like? I'll pop this off and take you for a tour. Like I said, I have a pretty small house, but the main shelf is right here. There's some books on top of it, but this is pretty stuffed. Just some of my favorites. And the bottom shelf has a lot of TBR, unread stuff. I'm pretty proud of my pretty small Stephen King collection. I like to collect. Yep, they're just downstairs. Sorry about the washer. It's, like I said, it's in my basement. They're pretty stuffed. And some extra pottery stuff. And some horror VHSs. But yeah, these are probably going to move upstairs pretty soon. Because I only keep books I want to reread. Or like really gut punch me. I usually just keep them upstairs. And then, because we have a really small house, I actually might move I have 2 stuffed bookshelves downstairs that I might actually move and put them over here in my foyer. We used to have a pretty small house, so I don't have enough space to bring my full collection up here, but I'll show you. It's in the very scary murder basement. It's not a murder basement, but it's just not finished. It's an unfinished basement, and my bookshelves are down there. But I would like to hear from you all, like, what of all the questions I've asked, like, what are your favorite genres to read? What are your favorite books? What are your favorite books in horror, fantasy, and lit fic, and historical fiction? I want to hear from you as well because, like I said, I want to just talk. I like talking. Thank you so much for watching and clicking. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I have a bunch of content I'm planning for this year that I'm really excited about filming and reading. So yeah, bye. Max says bye. He's really sleepy. Bye. See you guys soon.